Hello and welcome to another edition of Old History, the award-winning Facebook page and YouTube channel. Today's video is going to cover Carter County, Tennessee, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Located in a corner in northeast Tennessee, we have Carter County. The first documented visits from European settlers date back all the way to the late 1600s. Carter County would become part of North Carolina in the early 1760s, with the first settlers arriving by 1765. Among those settlers was none other than frontiersman William Bean, who settled 8 miles west of Sycamore Shoals of the Watauga River. Valentine Sevier, father of John and Valentine Jr., settled near Sycamore Shoals. By 1772, the settlers of the Watauga River formed the Watauga Association. It has been cited as the first attempt by American-born citizens to form their own government on the continent. While the Watauga Association was created to perform basic government duties, it was technically outside of the legal authority of any of the American colonies. It would become the first permanent settlement established outside of the original 13 American colonies. Also, in 1772, the oldest church in Tennessee still in existence on its original location, Sinking Creek Baptist Church, was constructed. In the early months of 1775, the Republic bought all lands between the Cumberland and Kentucky rivers, which was some 20 million acres, off of the local Cherokee, for about 2,000 pounds of sterling and 8,000 pounds of other goods. While the transaction occurred in the small village known as Elizabethton, the British Crown considered this action illegal, and it was vehemently opposed by the Cherokee, namely Chief Dragging Canoe. After the outbreak of the Revolutionary War in April 1775, the settlers organized themselves into the Washington District and claimed to be loyal to the United Colonies. They would form a committee of safety and disbanded the Watauga Association. By the summer of 1775, the district drafted a petition asking the colony of Virginia to annex the settlement. And after Virginia refused, the committee drafted a similar petition dated July 5, 1776, asking the North Carolina Assembly to annex the district. With the threat of an attack by the Cherokees imminent, North Carolina agreed and created the Washington District to include all of its lands west of the Untitled Mountains. The Cherokees still launched an attack against the Watauga settlements in 1776, but the Wataugans retreated to their fort and withstood the siege. By 1777, the Washington District would be formally absorbed by North Carolina and would henceforth be known as Washington County. And in 1780, John Sevier and the Over-Mountain men would gather at Sycamore Shoals and undertake a 14-day march where they would confront and defeat Major Patrick Ferguson's British militia. In the mid-1780s, the state of Franklin came into fruition after citizens of the Washington District began to fear that Congress would sell off their land to pay off war debt. From this new independent state came Wayne County. It encompassed modern Carter and Johnson counties. And then after the state of Franklin collapsed, it would not be until 1796 when Carter County was officially formed. In April 1796, the Tennessee General Assembly organized this new county from Washington County. This new county would be named Carter after Landon Carter, who was the treasurer of the Washington and Hamilton districts of North Carolina. He was also the state of Franklin's Speaker of the Senate and Secretary of State. In 1797, Elizabethton, named in 1779, was established as its county seat. However, the village would remain small until the railroad came through, bringing industry with it. In 1809, Duffield Academy was built, and it was the town's leading antebellum school. In 1819, Major General Samuel P. Carter was born, and he would raise a brigade of infantry from among hundreds of East Tennesseans fleeing to Kentucky during the Civil War. His younger brother, William Carter, organized and coordinated the East Tennessee bridge burning campaign, although he would later be appointed to Brigadier General of Volunteers without even resigning from the Navy. In 1838, William Parson Brownlow, future governor of Tennessee, wrote his first newspaper, which was called Brownlow's Whig. It was dedicated entirely to the Whig Party, and it also pushed Henry Clay's presidential campaign. During the Civil War, citizens of Carter County were opposed to secession and rejected it by a vote of 1,343 to 86. In 1866, the Buffalo Male and Female Institute was founded by a small congregation from the Disciples of Christ. It would later be elevated from institute to college and renamed as Milligan. During World War II, Milligan offered its entire facilities to the United States government and offered a Navy V-12 program, and it was the only college in the United States given over completely to a Navy program. During the 1880s, Carter County really started to pick up. The War of the Roses, which is one of Tennessee's most famous political events, began in 1886, when brothers Robert Love Taylor, who was a Democrat, and Alfred A. Taylor, who was a Republican, who were also from Carter County, ran against each other for governor of Tennessee. The brothers' antics on stage were renowned and often noted as speech-stealing and telling humorous stories on one another. Going back to 1866, construction would begin on the East Tennessee and Western North Carolina Railroad, using a broad gauge track. However, the original company went bankrupt after only a short section of rail was completed. Construction resumed in 1879 and was reconfigured to a narrow gauge track. With construction costs exceeding $1 million, the line would overcome the Blue Ridge Mountains, which was one of the most formidable obstacles in its way, something that no other railroad had done at that time. It would climb over 1,500 feet and run from Johnson City, Tennessee to Cranberry, North Carolina, and was opened to passenger and mixed freight on July 3, 1882. It acquired the Linville River Railroad in 1913 and extended this line to Panola, North Carolina. By 1918, after locals raised $27,000 in bonds, the Tweetsie, as it came to be known, extended this line to Boone, North Carolina. However, years later, after a series of floods decimated the line between Cranberry and Boone, the company decided not to rebuild and filed for abandonment on March 22, 1941. Economic development was almost halted in the 1890s. The Depression of 1893 was followed by a disastrous flood in 1901. However, investors had not forgotten about this small little village in the corner of Tennessee. Bimberg and Gladstall built a rayon plant between Elizabeth and Sycamore Shoals, and it would become one of the largest employers in the county well until the late 20th century. In 1942, construction would begin on the Watauga Dam, although the onset of World War II halted construction in favor of more important projects. Construction would resume in 1946 and finished in 1948. The dam impounded the Watauga and Elk Rivers and partially submerged the town of Butler. This forced the relocation of nearly 1,200 graves and 600 populace. At the time of its completion, it was one of the highest earth and rock dams in the continental United States, and today it is on the National Register of Historic Places. Carter County encompasses several small towns and communities, one such being Roan Mountain. During the 1780s, the Over Mountain men passed through here on the way to confront the British Loyalists. In the 1870s, the town began to grow as a mining outpost and became a stop along the Tweetsie. Other places include Pinecrest, Central, Hunter, part of Johnson City, and Watauga. Some of the smaller communities include what's left of Butler, Bitter End, Tiger Valley, and Valley Forge. A few significant people have came from Carter County. One of them is Nancy Ward, or Nanyehi. She was born around 1738 and died in the 1820s. She was a Cherokee warwoman turned peacemaker who advocated for the peaceful coexistence with European Americans. She also spoke out for retention of Cherokee tribal lands. Later she was known as a beloved woman. Other people include John Sevier, William Blunt, and Daniel Morgan. Lastly, we have Judge Ben Allen, who was a veteran of the 117th Infantry in World War I, and was a founding member of the Mountain Breeders Co-op, which aimed to enhance the county's livestock industry. In 1934, he was elected Circuit Court Judge of the 1st Judicial District, but resigned in 1942 to become General Manager of Bimberg and North American Rayon Plants, after the U.S. government seized control of the German-owned factories as a wartime measure. Judge Allen eventually retired in the late 1950s and would go on to become a founding member of the Watauga Historical Association. He would pass away in 1977.